This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our friends over at ease.com, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery, as well as an option for the same for folks living in the Portland, Oregon area. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Monday, October 7th, 2019, and you're tuned in to episode 813 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. We kick off this week's news with a statement issued on Friday by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration warning that Americans should avoid vaping any kind of product containing THC, full stop. The bulletin went on to note that the FDA still does not have a full handle on the cause of the now more than 1,000 hospital visits and 18 deaths attributed to the use of vaporizers, but did say that THC was the most common factor across the cases that are tracked and have been studied. Unfortunately, the FDA did not differentiate between THC vaporizers bought in legal stores and those procured from the illicit market, saying that even those sold in retail shops should be avoided. That's despite the fact that the majority of known THC cases involve products from illicit dealers. Given that the federal government still considers marijuana to be super illegal and thus doesn't actually regulate it, it doesn't really have much direct flex in here in enacting any kind of ban, but the FDA's words certainly do carry weight, so this is something you should have on your radar. Swing over to the FDA's site to read the statement in full. Oregon continues on the vape train with a ban announced on Friday of all flavored vaping products, both nicotine and THC, for the next 6 months. This is not as far-reaching as the ban recently imposed in Massachusetts, as it only touches vaping products that have flavor added to them, which should leave the majority of cannabis vaping products in the clear. Governor Kate Brown announced the ban along with a call for Oregon state agencies to work on plans to better regulate vaping in terms of testing, the listing of ingredients, and consumer education. And speaking of Massachusetts' vape ban, a federal judge in Boston on Friday ruled against a bid by a vaporizer trade group to halt the ban. Although U.S. District Court Judge Indira Talwani will hold a hearing on October 15th that could lead to the lifting of the ban through a preliminary injunction. A lawyer for the trade group Vapor Technology Association argued that Governor Charlie Baker's 4-month ban on all vaping products is overly broad and will put many small Massachusetts store vendors out of business. The state's vaporizer industry is estimated to be worth an annual $331 million and said to employ more than 2,500 people. So there's a lot at stake here for those folks financially. Friday's ruling followed a decision in New York State on Thursday where the Vapor Technology Association was able to stave off that state's ban. So this overall storyline is kind of getting convoluted. Probably not a bad one to read today. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out in headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, ease.com, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery, as well as the same for folks living in the Portland, Oregon area. Everyone over at Ease is happy and excited about the launch of the new Momentum Business Accelerator, which is starting off by giving 10 legal marijuana entrepreneurs from underrepresented communities $50,000 each in startup money and access to all kinds of resources and advisors to help them bring their cannabis visions to life. The 10-week program will be led by 40 industry volunteer experts and will culminate in the 10 entrepreneurs pitching to groups of venture capitalists in pursuit of further funding. This is a great program that I expect will produce some really interesting new businesses. Swing over to ease.com/home to find the article detailing all the cool things that Momentum program participants will look forward to and to learn about applying yourself. That's ease.com, spelled E-A-Z-E. Big thanks to everyone over at Ease for the support that helps us keep our news lights on. All right, time for the Blitz. The city of Las Vegas, Nevada has its first marijuana tasting lounge as the Vegas Testing Room opened up over the weekend. The tasting room is owned by the company Nuwu, which itself is owned and run by a native Paiute tribe, which gives it the ability to operate outside Las Vegas city rules over the siting of public cannabis use facilities. The tasting room is located just north of the strip on tribal land and is designed similar to one that you'd see in a beer brewery. Pop over to Mary Jane to read more and to see photos. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com. Kimberly Lawson over Marijuana Moments picked up on a recently released study that found that usage rates for marijuana among kids in Washington state went down or remained level in the years following the legalization of adult use marijuana in 2012. I hope that's not surprising to anyone listening to this show, as it's what we've seen in every similar study in other legal states. Swinging up to my country of the corner here in Maine, we have the Portland Press Herald looking at how things stand in the state in terms of legal marijuana testing labs. Maine is in the midst of transitioning to allowing legal adult use sales and just released proposed rules for how products must be tested. One question that was asked in the article that I think is worthy of some consideration is, will there be enough testing labs to handle the new industry in Maine? Read this one for sure if you do business in Maine. The medical dispensary Berkeley Patients Group, located in Berkeley, California, is celebrating its 20th anniversary this month with a pledge to donate $1 million in total to 10 worthy nonprofits to be given out over the next 10 years. You can pop over to Leaf Online to read the list of recipients. I think it's pretty awesome that there's a legal dispensary that's been around that long, especially one as generally well respected as BPG. The National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine will hold a webinar later this month on the topics of CBD health and science. The 1-hour webinar will take place on October 17th and will feature a range of expert speakers. You can find a link for more on that and to sign up yourself over at Marijuana Moments. NJ.com has an interesting story that I think should be on your general cannabis news radar, with a highlight of a company that is working to develop automated robots to cultivate cannabis. There's a lot of attention and money being thrown at the more general sector of AI-enabled cultivation, where robots actually handle most of the weeding and plant care that needs to happen to raise a commercial crop, food or otherwise. The company William Bond AI is located in Ontario, Canada, and is working to customize commercially available farming bots to handle marijuana cultivation. Don't ignore this storyline. Our final headline today is a good piece by David Downs over at Leafly, looking at a new criminal case that came to light last week involving a legal licensed California marijuana company that has allegedly been operating a parallel illicit operation so that it could process and sell any cannabis stock it had that would not meet stringent state testing standards. The company Cushy Punch was raided by police last week, who say it was operating an illicit dispensary lab and even sharing employees across both the licensed and illicit companies. Not a bad one to also add to your list to read in full. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, Ease, and to all of our awesome Patreon listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the Patreon listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today. Today.
One take, Shay. One take.